Dear viewers, hello. Welcome to another panel of Delphi Forum. We are here to make a discussion about the EU's response and financial growth. You saw the title, and you'll see also the panelists are two distinctive guests. Mr. Peter Sanfey, he's on this side, I'm looking at him right now, and on the other side, Mr. Giorgos Kyrtsos from European Union. He is an MP of the group of the European People's Party. Mr. Sanfey, he's a Deputy Director of EBRD, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. The two distinctive guests will have a discussion about the response and financial growth about EU. And talking about EU, we will start with Mr. Kyrtsos. Mr. Kyrtsos, we can hear you about all these tools that we are hearing about, the tools the financial tools that they are coming towards Greece.
Okay, hello. I hope everybody's fine. I'll start by stressing that the present crisis in the Eurozone and in the Greek economy is much more complicated than the previous one. At the same time, I'm very satisfied because the European response to the present crisis is much more dynamic and sophisticated. I'm a second-year term member of the European Parliament, and I'm a full member of the Economic and Monetary Affairs Committee and a substitute member of the Budget Committee. So I'm in a position to follow and influence what's going on there. And I think that we have rather good news as far as the Greek economy is concerned. Of course, the Greek economy is in a difficult situation because we lost 20% of our GDP during the past 10 years, and we are about to lose an additional 7 to 10% GDP, according to the scenario, during 2020, and we will probably need 2 years in order to cover the additional losses. In terms of investment, we had evaluated that we have a gap of 100 billion euros for a 5-year period. And according to new estimates, we'll have an additional fall of 25% of gross fixed investment in 2020. And then we'll start recovering following the trend of the Eurozone. The good news are the following in a difficult situation. First of all, we are much more experienced and disciplined as an economic and political system and as a society in general. Second, we have not been excluded from the markets, which is a big difference from the past crisis. We can borrow the money that we need and get the fund we need, and an interest rate which is somewhat lower than the interest rate at which Italy borrows, which is rather impressive relative to the previous crisis, when we had been excluded and then we went bankrupt and then we had to follow a program in order to get the necessary loans. Third big change is the fact that we participate in the ECB's new quantitative easing program. That helps a lot in order, let's say, to lower the cost of funding of the Greek state and even lower the cost of funding of the Greek banks. They're in a much better position to handle the situation. And of course, the very good news, beyond our expectations, because I was following what's going on and we couldn't see any progress on major issues, budget, etc. But now we have the European Recovery Fund. I think Macron and Merkel made a very good proposal. This has been enriched by the European Commission and will get the necessary funding. The total will be 750 billion euros, and Greece will probably get 22 billion euros through the European budget, according to the standard criteria. And also 9 billion euros in funding at low cost interest rates. We have additional facilities through the an additional funding of 520 or 540 billion euros through the ESM, the EIB as far as enterprises are concerned, and the program which is called SURE in order to avoid to reinforce employment, to subsidize employment. So we are in a rather good position in order to follow a new strategy of modernization, provided we don't repeat the mistakes of the past, and we make interesting proposals according to the basic criteria of the Eurozone. First, we have to follow the rules of the European semester, which means not additional deficits, for instance, in the social security sector, which is always vulnerable in Greece. We have to do this, and then follow the strategy of modernization of the European economy with an emphasis in, let's say, green transition and digital transformation, among other things. So if we work hard, I think we can make it.
So I should turn immediately to Peter about his ideas of where we should go. Where do you think we should focus as a country? And probably where do you think that your institution, the EBRD, will focus on the Greek side?
Thank you, Kostantinos. So I think the first thing to say is that at the EBRD, we see ourselves as very much complementary to the work of the European Union and its institutions, and of course other international institutions that are active in Greece. We're not an EU institution, but we do work very closely with our European partners, and we have been doing that since we started investing in Greece in 2015. Now, our particular focus is on the private sector, and the private sector has really got to be the engine of recovery. It was indeed shaping up to be the source of recovery until the coronavirus hit, and we would expect it to be the dominant source of growth once the crisis recedes and once some normality returns. I share Mr. Kyrtsos's optimism and upbeat remarks about Greece. We at the EBRD are optimistic about the future for this country. Of course, this is going to be a difficult year, but maybe not quite as difficult as some are predicting. We expect the economy to fall by maybe around 6% this year, and we're very confident there'll be a robust recovery in 2021 of around 6%. Now, for us, we are committed to being active and investing in Greece until the end of 2025. And where we see the needs are really in corporate sector, firstly. So we will continue to be directing loans and equity investments towards corporates in Greece. Secondly, we see the energy sector as one that has particular potential in Greece, and we know with great, we're very encouraged, and we note with great approval the commitment of the Greek government to really tackle carbon emissions, to close down the lignite plants in the coming years, and to move forcefully towards more renewable energy generation, making renewable energy the dominant source of energy in this country. That's something we intend to help with. And thirdly, the financial sector. This is where we came into Greece, actually, with our first investment in 2015 with equity in the four systemic banks. We have a big involvement in the financial sector, and we see that as very important for delivering resilience for the Greek economy.
Thank you very much. I will turn to Mr. Kyrtsos and ask there is a problem, let's say, especially in the mind of a simple Greek, that he hears a lot of money around, but in the European bureaucracy, things do not seem to work as fast, and they do not end up reaching at the final destination. How do you think we should tackle this problem?
Well, there is a bureaucratic phenomenon in the European Union as well. But the major problem is that we face a very big economic and social crisis that will probably last for the next 12 or 13 months. I believe that to restart the economy, we need the tourist industry to recover, which means that we'll have to wait until July 2021, because we'll lose unavoidably a lot of ground. And then in order to get the serious money after everything is processed, we should wait until the second semester of 2021. This is my estimate. So we have a very difficult 12 to 13 months where social pressures will increase and political pressure will increase, because as we know, Greece is dependent on the service sector, on the tourism sector, has a lot of very small family enterprises, and these face additional difficulties. And this is one of the reasons why we are being helped a lot, as well as Italy and Spain, that have similar characteristics in their economy. So I agree with you that in the foreseeable future, we'll have a dual situation. We'll be hearing about good prospects and a lot of money, because we have the possibility to finance the recovery and later the dynamic growth of the economy. But the social pain of what's going to happen is going to grow during the next 12 months. For instance, the money that we'll lose during the tourist sector during the third quarter of the year will be greatly missed by hundreds of thousands of families during the winter.
Thank you for this answer. I'll turn now to Peter. Almost the same question. There seems to be a problem about money reaching from big and global European institutions like yours, and especially to SMEs. Greek economy is based to SMEs. Do you think that you'll manage to have all this money that you say you want to invest up until 2025 will reach their final destination, will reach the Greek small and medium enterprise?
I'm confident that it will. I mean, we choose our partners carefully when we invest in countries. And as I mentioned, we're 100% focused on the private sector in Greece. And that includes investments sometimes directly with small or medium-sized corporates, but more often it involves investments in funds that will then on-lend to the SMEs, and we have quite a few examples of that already, and we'll be looking for further examples. So that's one point. I mean, I think if you choose partners carefully that are really focused on finding the right companies to invest in, then the money will get out. But the second point I want to make is it's not just about money; it's also about advice and showing best practice. And we have a very active program in Greece, Advice for Small Business. We've worked with about 60 companies on that, where we've helped them with business plans, with governance, with energy saving, things like that. And again, those programs can have a very important impact. They can provide demonstration effects then to companies on the ground.
I would like then to thank you both for this, your speeches and this discussion. I hope that we'll manage to have the amount of money that Mr. Kyrtsos said, and the investment that Peter Sanfey is saying on the other side. The Delphi Forum is continues, and I hope everybody will keep watching this Corona-free forum. Thank you very much. It was Mr. Sanfey, the Deputy Director of EBRD, and Mr. George Kyrtsos, an MP at the European Parliament. Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.